That look.
What look?
The look on your face.
What look on whose face?
The one you said was touchy. Tetchy.
Tetchy. I might get touchy here, depending on your questions.
Why are you getting
'Cause
touchy?
I know we're
My
going to have
questions.
this conversation. I'm gonna
Which
get
conversation?
touchy. I have an idea of what we want to talk about.
What do we want to talk about?
You're going to ask me a question.
Well,
You're going to practice on me.
I just have this question. I have a question for discussion.
Well, hold on. Before you ask me this question and I get tetchy, this is Leslie Elliott Boyce and Benjamin Boyce, and we're here to bring you the Deepend, which is a bi-monthly or every other week.
Bi-weekly.
No, bi-weekly would be 2 times a week. It's di-monthly.
No, I think bi-weekly can be either twice a week or it could be every other week.
This is the problem with buys of all sorts. You never know. And they're fucked either way. So
nice. Yes, but it's every other Sunday.
Yeah, this is the other Sunday.
Yeah.
Not every Sunday, but every other Sunday. Almost. Unless we can't make it. But anyways, that's the introduction. So now
Benjamin wants a nap.
We had a long day.
Yeah.
Someday we'll talk about today.
Yeah, it was a really good day.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah. We want to drive. Went to church. Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yep. It was nice.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about it.
It was a good day. Yeah.
Then we had sushi, and then we went to Trader Joe's, or I went to Barnes & Noble and just like sat and glowered.
Because he's too tetchy for shopping.
I had low energy.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Now
there's coffee.
And then, so this is going to be just an hour long, maybe a little shorter, because I have my game night tonight. So we're like stacking everything up today. Anyways, how are you guys doing?
Hello, Greg and CB and Self-Made Woman. Bi-weekly is every other week. See, yeah, I agree.
That's what I was saying.
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly?
Yeah, bi-weekly.
Oh, I guess I was saying
bi-monthly.
Week.
Yeah. Such a glorious contrast between you two happy people who have a nice normal relationship and yesterday's voice cast. What was that?
Yeah. That's interesting, Cram. We had a stream with Eva Kurilova and Exelancic.
I saw a little tiny bit of it, and it was really like a good conversation.
It was very inside baseball. It was very much about very exact drama that has happened. But like I felt we brought it up and kind of tried to provide some critiques of why the gender critical radical feminist movement keeps on shooting itself in the foot. And it's not all the feminists. It's just like a certain propensity of certain amount of bad actors jumping on moral panics and stirring them up to a pitch, and then everybody just fractures, and they look like it looks bad.
It really seems like it's more a I guess like a pattern of interaction in the internet, in the social media sphere, that happens over and over with different topics. And so I hesitate to pin it on feminists per se. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's getting so specific. It's. I know.
Sorry to specify, but it keeps on happening.
But in the wake of the Gen Spec conference and the Phil Illy thing and the dress, and I think that's what you guys were talking about when I popped in.
Well, yeah, but that stuff, it never stopped. They never stopped.
That's still going on?
Purity spiraling never stopped.
Over that?
No, it just keeps on, like, they're in a mode of purity spiraling, and like they run out of energy on this topic, or everybody just like stops talking about this thing, so they have to find something else to talk about. And for a while there was Eva in her relationship with Lois, who is a male to female transitioner.
Oh yeah, and having a
trans friend.
Yeah.
Like no troon pets allowed. Like that's the next thing. Like you can't have any sort of association.
That brings up a good question because we've, for better or for worse, we've introduced this idea of medical body modification for gender purposes, and a lot of people have done it. And so whether they're still maintaining a transgender identity or look, or whether they're a detransitioner whose appearance and voice has been altered permanently, we're going to have a whole cohort, a whole generation or two of people who present in this way in the world. And we have to find a way to make peace with that, don't we? Even if we were to stop it right now, we'd still have to have a way to make peace with the fact that...
This is why I don't do it your way.
Because it's not strong enough.
And plus I just dip my tassel there. It's not strong
weak.
enough. It's just like, no, there's too much weak.
It's too much.
It's too much Cream.
Did you say it's not that it's not strong enough, it's that it's too much wheat?
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yes. We are nice and we are happy, and everybody else is just angry
Oh my
and tearing
gosh,
each other
it's
to
too
people.
much wheat.
Yeah, too much weak. Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, yeah, that was that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and like that was Eva's first time at being dogpiled, and
Oh.
she muted everybody and blocked everybody, but popped in every once in a while just to have a laugh. Because
Oh.
when I get in that situation, I make fun of it because it's hilarious. People are like, "You don't know me. You can't tell me what to do. I don't owe you anything. I just interviewed a couple of people that you admire. That's my only connection to you. You can't
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah.
how to behave. You can't do it."
Yeah.
And that's what Eva said too. Eva had a couple of good rants. I should take him out.
Yeah. Oh, and clip him.
Yeah, clip him.
She
'Cause
seems really
she's
great.
like, the same reason that I dislike the trans rights activism is the same thing I don't want to do with this family. You guys want to control speech, you want to control behavior, and you're power tripping. And you can't tell me I don't believe in coercive speech.
Yeah, I know, and that's interesting. I mean, I had this one video I made. It just was like a small video on pronouns, and it's the one that, like, I guess it resonated with a lot of people because it got shared quite a bit and viewed a lot, and a lot of people agreed with what I said on there. But I don't think that they understood the principle of what I was saying.
What's the principle?
It was that you should be able to choose, that you shouldn't be forced to call somebody something that you don't, or forced to give pronouns just to play a game, play this euphemistic game.
Yeah.
But that there are some times when you might choose to go along with something, but you have to just be intentional about that and be clear with yourself that that's what you're doing. Make that decision for yourself on a case-by-case basis. Do you think that it is, like, there are people for whom, so transgendered people, if you have a friend who's transgendered or gender, whatever. I mean, and I know people don't even want to use that word, but that there's a lot of fighting over that. There's fighting over that word on both sides. Like, do you say that, or do you say, trans-identified male? Do you say trans woman? What do you say? And how you say that is going to be policed by anybody. So choose for yourself what you want to say. Don't let anybody make you play language games.
Tribalism.
Yeah.
You gotta have to signal your tribe. See, whenever something becomes politicized and there's like this layer of things, and you're signaling whether you like it or not, you're signaling that you not belong to a certain tribe, but you adhere to certain principles that are now tribalized.
Adhere to certain principles that are tribalized. Yeah, but it's all the same pattern. It's all the same, like, we control this thing and we get upset and we nip at anybody who steps out of line.
I don't like the controlling, I don't like the nipping, but there is some sort of social pressure. We live in a society, Leslie. We live in a society.
This coffee is weak yet bitter.
Oh,
Taste it.
I can't really taste right now.
It's weak and bitter.
I swallowed it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So what were you going to ask me?
I was going to ask you, I was wondering to what extent some of the non-binary or transgender identity in young women or young females, female adolescents and young ladies, is, how much of it do you think might be due to sort of a cultural backlash to the beauty culture, the consumer beauty culture that has been so hyped up since probably the 80s, 90s. Things really took off, this obsession with supermodels, obsession with beauty, and then you've got like the Kardashians, and then you have the plastic surgery craze, and you have Instagram influencers, and just everybody, filters, and now the AI, and there's this account on Twitter that's always promoting AI girls and how women should get plastic surgery in order to compete with AI women because you need bigger boobs and you need what does she go into, age stuff?
Undead Odalesque is the Twitter account. Very interesting Twitter account.
I think it's but
a whole lot of T and a whole lot of A.
And I think that it's some kind of a cultural engineering experiment. I don't think it's what it presents itself as. I think it's a way to sort of softly introduce AI and normalize it for porn. But that's my opinion on that account.
Yeah.
But it's not just that account that I was asking. That's not why I was asking that question.
Yeah.
There was this girl who
Yeah, there was that video.
there was somebody winning or being at an award ceremony.
Oh, that's a different video. You were
Yeah.
talking about a video about this girl who doesn't wear makeup for a couple of days, and the guys around her are
Yeah.
like, "Are you okay?"
Well, I had a whole list of examples of
Yes.
this. I was looking at all these different pieces.
Of women balking at the how
Beauty culture.
Yeah, beauty culture and how oppressive that is. You know what I think. I this is why I get touchy with this subject. One, like when I call out the rad femmes and you're like, you're generalized, you're overgeneralized. I'm like, well, this you can't really talk about this because every woman has such an independent psychology with regard to beauty.
Yeah.
But one, we know that women are susceptible to propaganda, especially around looks. Two, women, for some reason, on a genetic, biological, evopsych level, like want to be beautiful, and they are very social, and they're very competitive, and they want to be better than the next woman. And so, if to be better than the next woman means to be skinnier, or means to be fat, or means to be trans-masc, or to have like a different pronoun, it's all competition. So it's not just beauty standards. It's not just a backlash to beauty standards.
Yeah.
It's also just like it's just female. What's that thing like with the weapons getting stronger and stronger?
Arms race.
It's an arms race.
Yeah, that's
But it's a boob race.
But okay, so yes, and there's the individual, and so at the individual level, a lot of things start to fall apart. But when you pull back and you look at things from there's like the macro and the micro, and if you pull back and look at something at the sociological level, and then you try to distill that down to the individual and make predictions about the individual from that larger scale observation, it falls apart. So I'm talking about on the big picture, like how much did you're smiling at me like
I'm enjoying her so much because I sometimes she has me edit her videos and I watch her videos and she's so like when it's your channel you're just like you're very like contained, very nice. You have this very like commanding presence. You're very coach-like or whatever, counsel-ish, like counselor. Okay. But like when we're engaged, like you start to bounce and bob and start to like weave and dodge and get up there and you get like animated and your voice gets fast and slow and musical in this very nice way and I'm releasing your flavor in front of the whole internet. It's just like I'm just so proud of myself and you at the same time. This is why we dive into the deep end.
You're adorable.
And splash you around.
Oh my goodness.
But what was your point?
After all that, let me think. So my point is Benjamin.
What?
So not necessarily on the individual level, but on the social level, are we to some extent like there's this uglification of there's a trend towards celebrating something that's like it feels like an anti-beauty, like a rejection of beauty. And the young woman who was at some award ceremony, I'd never heard of this person, some actress, like a teenage actress or young 20s or something. Liv Houston, I think was her name. I saw it on Twitter first, and then somebody linked an article in Teen Vogue that was about her being non-binary, and it had like resources for teachers, resources for education about non-binary. And there's all these pictures of this girl, and she's basically this really, cute young woman. Long hair, kind of natural makeup, like a little bit of makeup. But she has accessories. She has the long hair. She's wearing kind of women's masculinized clothes.
Yeah.
And the most masculine thing about her.
Do you remember her name?
Liv Houston, I think. Oh, yeah. So you see it.
Right there, okay.
So
I just want to show the picture.
Yeah, the most masculine thing about her is she's putting on what I see over and over with the non-binary and the trans-masculine young women is like they have an FU expression on their face. And there's the body language that says, I don't care. And then she's got the boob job where she's got, she's had her like nipples grafted onto her breasts removed and her nipples grafted on. So she's showing that. But that's the most masculine thing about her. And what you see is like she's still playing a little bit of both sides. She's still wanting to represent something that's a little bit glamorous and pretty or beautiful.
Yeah,
but it's in this edgy, like, I don't have to play your game kind of thing. And there's a rejection of accessorized and plasticized. I mean, if I'm trying to look at this sort of
well, it is kind of, I mean, one way you could put it, and pardon me for saying so, it is kind of like, sorry, where's our camera? No, okay, everything sucks.
I don't know if everything sucks.
Just stop it. Okay, there we go. It's non-pornified.
Well, but I mean, you've got the nipple hanging out.
It's kind of asexual.
Is it? Yeah, maybe it's a rejection of sexual signaling. Is that what you would see it as?
I mean, yeah, that nipple's hanging out, but like it doesn't produce anything.
It's not a sexual thing. Yeah.
It's like it's like a steer parading around his testicle scars, or I don't know.
Well, and there's something that's kind of like that when she's talking about being liberated, and these girls talking about something liberating about this. What are they liberated from? Well, maybe they're liberated from their own pressure or their sense of social pressure to be able to compete in the beauty.
But they're still
game.
Competing.
I know. I mean, there's a lot of internal contradiction, but I just wonder about this idea.
Yeah,
so,
if it's a backlash, is that I think that the backlash against beauty or modernism is rooted in postmodernism, and that is rooted a lot in resentment, and the resentment of the midwit for the actual genius, or the resentment of the...
How would one know if one was a midwit?
For the beautiful or whatever it is. Like, there's like this phenomena we see over and over and over again where the midwits are the ones who end up running everything into the ground. Yeah, but how do you know
who's a midwit? I mean, if there's...
It's the behavior. It's like this insecurity.
Okay.
It's just like this insecure... It's this posturing and insecurity. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know that girl... But I do know that Teen Vogue just really, really wants girls to have anal sex and to be complete sluts.
There was that article.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
We can go into the Planned Parenthood stuff.
It was about just like the Planned
using
Parenthood.
Like these like childlike classrooms to talk about.
She's talking about losing your virginity, and
Yeah.
she's in like a kid's classroom,
Yeah.
so she's clearly talking to children,
Yeah.
and she's talking about how, with your different sexual partners, and just what is sex? Sex is whatever you want it to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
name
sex
your
could
genitals.
be masturbation.
Name
sex
your
could
parts.
Be, yeah.
They're not even genitals. Just
they're bits.
They're bits.
They're your what were the words? It was like your front hole and your outie or what? Oh, it's so gross. I'm sorry. I'm having a.
That's fine.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so.
I mean, that is. And the person in that Planned Parenthood video, sorry we don't have it to show you, is like this obese black
find
woman.
It if you want to
this
put it
obese black woman who looks like Pat. It's like everybody's like, Pat is the new aesthetic. It's like, I want to be like non-binary, but eventually you're just going to start looking flabby and hairy. And
Pat, it is Pat.
It's just all Pat. It's like the Patification of an entire generation. Yeah, and it was Pat a reaction to Cindy Crawford? I don't know. They were like prevalent at the same time,
really
and it does hit on.
interesting.
It does play around with the same kind of things.
Pat.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder how those Pat videos would go over now.
Oh my God.
Oh, we should start posting them.
They're Pat-phobic.
Yeah, I didn't even know you knew Saturday Night Live sketches. You've always disliked that show, haven't you?
It was never good.
I thought it was really good.
Every once in a while, they had a good bit of humor.
I was really into it. I watched it faithfully.
Oh, you want to see something that's totally annoying to me?
Oh no.
Here, let me.
Oh, no. What is it?
It's gonna be the right one. Here's file.
I'm waiting to see what's annoying. It's probably gonna be me.
What I love most about this community is the way you own the alphabet. L, G, B, T, T, Q, Q, I, A, P. No letter left behind. No, for real. What I love about this community is the freedom. The freedom that comes with being yourself, all of yourself. I love the energy, the activism, the generosity, the light, the shade. the fun. I love the dignity that accompanies self-acceptance. It is important to acknowledge that, with the exception of being a cisgender male, everything about how I was born has put me at the current center of a damaging and widely accepted myth. That myth is that gayness orbits around straightness, transgender orbits around cisgender, and that all races orbit around whiteness. I appreciate this community so much because it's where I learned to reject this myth. I appreciate this community because together we are not just going to question this myth, we are going to destroy it. The walls built.
Okay, so.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so cloying.
That's really bad.
And you like how like she does like the whole alphabet and she ends with P. You know what P stands for?
Oh.
Love is love.
No way. No, it must stand for something else.
Well, it could be polyamory, but I think it's the other thing.
Oh, what?
I mean, she wouldn't knowingly advance the other one. Oh, you don't know what the other one?
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
I know, but I mean, would she knowingly? I don't know. I don't.
She wants to tear down everything. She wants to tear down the center.
What an idiot.
She wants to tear down everything.
What an idiot. Oh, it's so gross. I mean, how much are they getting paid to do that? I mean, she must get such a big...
Yeah, but she's...
Do you think it's just for pay, or do you think she's actually swept up in it?
She's high on her own supply, man. They're high on their own supply.
That's really weird.
It's right. Like she was right to say like except for not being a man.
It looked like she was tearing up.
Oh, of course
she's
tearing.
really feeling it.
Her whole job is to just like proclaim whatever some Writers Guild approved script tells her to proclaim.
You know how in old Hollywood they were so controlled by their studios?
Yeah.
That their whole lives were orchestrated by their studios. Like their matches were made and where they could go and what they could wear, and I wonder, did that ever really change?
Yeah. I did meet somebody a year ago or so who was working in Australia to pressure government to be more progressive, and then she's now doing that in Hollywood to pressure Hollywood to be more progressive.
Oh, wow.
She really honestly sincerely believes that
she believes her own
that people need to be more gay and people need to be less racist.
Why do people need to be more gay?
You need to be. This is the year of being gay. We already had White Boy Summer. Okay. It's time to like.
Yes, but like, why do people need to be more gay?
You bring this up. Did you bring this up on our stream with us?
Yeah,
like
that was
in
whole,
your
like...
progressive days, you thought like the population needs to be controlled, so we should encourage homosexuality.
Is there another reason though? Is there? I mean, if you're gay, be gay, and that's okay. That is who you are, and I don't have a problem with
there's being a cocksucker, and then there's being politically gay.
But like, why do we need more people to be any kind of way?
Because gayness is defined by straightness, and so we need to center gayness and dethrone straightness, because straightness as a concept of power has controlled human beings, causing men and women to be fruitful and multiply, and that has led us to a place where we need to curb that. I think it all goes down to human population. I don't know how intentionally, but it is ultimately it's like, well, how do we end hunger?
Well, gosh, this whole thing, it's like the yard signs.
So beauty and the beauty standards wittingly or unwittingly fall into that. I don't know. There's going to be nudges. There's certainly nudges, from our overlords.
Well, but yes, whether you want to imagine someone orchestrating something, like socially engineering a thing, or whether you just want to imagine that things happen in spirals and in patterns. I'm not sure that that's as interesting, because it happens. It takes hold in people one way or another.
What?
A social trend.
So
whether it has been nudged or started.
Yeah.
It then takes hold and it means something. There's the zeitgeist. There's the spirit of the times.
Saying, like I would say that's one vector of analysis or questioning, and then the other one is a backlash question. So I think that the backlash has some input to it. I think porn does definitely have an input to it. I really do think that woman was emulating a non-pornified sexuality, like a post-sexual revolution. You know, it's like we're past sex now. We are the sexless generation, right? And so like that whole gender ambiguity, like where she's posturing and she's got like her thing, so she's like adopting the performance of masculinity, but then also like saying, but I'm really actually I am feminine. I'm more feminine than you because like I've actually like overcome my femininity. I've given up. I've sacrificed this.
You know, the breast thing though, that thing that makes me think. So there's an attack on breasts, right?
The war on tits. That should be a segment. This week on the war on tits. Because, like, every week there's another war on tits, man.
Oh my God. Can you name this?
The war on tits. I don't think I can because I think it would, like, yeah, maybe, like, yeah, maybe, okay, yeah.
So, well, I guess what? Since we've gone into a more pornified culture, Playboy and pinups and the focus on the female body and on breasts in particular, breasts, boobs everywhere. There's a lot of women have a lot of insecurity around that part of their body, and they have a lot of vanity around that part of their body, and there's a lot of focus and you know, a lot of male attention and objectification on that one particular part of the body. And I think it can make women feel really, well, go back to the idea of objectification, which that would be an interesting thing to have a longer conversation about at some point. Yeah. But let's just use that because it's a simple nomenclature right now and people understand what you're talking about. So
but women
feel very objectified based on their breasts, or feel jealous because their husband feels perfectly happy. He feels like he has a right to go out and look at all the tits he wants when you're looking through porn and whatever. So this is a part of, we can fine tune that part of the discussion, but I'm just going to throw that out there. And so then you get a generation of young women who cut them off and who reject that very part of their body.
Yeah.
Both have lost the plot on what that part of your body's for. Both sides have completely lost the plot.
There is a signal to it, and you know.
Not the way it's been used, though. It's been made into something that's incredibly superficial and transactional and commodified. You know, look at all the plastic surgery and you know, and just the way that breasts have become sort of a commercialized feminine attribute.
But what are you, Leslie? What are you? Just tell me what you are.
A human being.
Okay, what's a human being?
Okay, what's your point? This is
like
a weird rhetorical pathway. I know you're leading me somewhere.
Okay, I know. So what is a human being?
I was going to do like my Supreme Court answer would be, I'm not a biologist. I can't.
Oh, okay. You ask a scientist.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You're a hominid.
Yeah.
Which is what?
It's
part
a
of
mammal.
The grape apes.
Yes.
Yeah, grape ape. Yeah, you're a mammal.
A mammal.
What is a mammal named after?
It's the mammary.
So yeah, so like a foundational concept of what we are.
Yeah.
Is
tits.
But
not it, the way that it's been used in popular culture has been primarily as a sexual signal for attracting a mate. That's where I'm saying you're losing the plot when it becomes all about sex and it doesn't become about reproduction and and nourishing a child. When you've lost that part of it and completely disconnected from that, what do you end up with?
Yes.
Of course, girls are rejecting that. I mean, it just seems like it's sort of a cultural evolutionary process by which we overemphasize this one aspect and then we devalue that.
And then they rebel against that.
Yeah, in a sense, I guess.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I'm just sort of.
No, remember that anime cartoon I showed you?
Oh yeah,
it's really
a
terrible.
Boob man or a butt man?
Yeah, like are you a boob man or a butt man?
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
And then the guy's like, "Well, I'm a butt man," and then he's like, "Tell me why?" And then like he's like, "Oh, why? Why?" He like thinks he's like, "Okay, well, for hundreds of millions of years we were humping butts, and then we stood upright, and men couldn't distinguish women from men, so women put boobs on their front and their back, so men could be rest assured what to mate with, because men are so dumb. We just need to be led by the."
Yeah, but what I guess it shows the stunted. I mean, it's like a cultural developmental stunting when you're focused on the hedonistic act of coupling and you're not at all focusing on what comes next.
Yeah.
Or you're focusing on self-gratification, but you're not focusing on, you know, sort of divorcing sex from reproduction to the
Or
degree that we have.
yeah, or intimacy. I mean, there's different ways to plug sex into meaning.
Right, and then a step even before that is to divorce attraction from sex. So the makeup, you know, you look at,
Really, you're gonna go there?
well, why
You
not?
say like makeup's a sexual
No, no,
signal.
no. I'm saying it's become divorced from that. I mean, we've got like a bunch of communication going on that loses the sight of what that communication was ever meant for.
Am I supposed to? So when you asked me if I like those glasses, I should have
Oh, you
consulted
hate
my
my
erection.
glasses.
Like that's what I should have said. I should like, okay, let's
That's-
take all the
no,
do
no.
these glasses give me an erection or no?
No.
Because like that's the ultimate standard. Like I shouldn't think aesthetically or lines or weight or color or anything. It's just like does it give you a boner or not? You know, and so why do women ask, "Am I fat?" Why don't they say, "Do I give you a boner or not?" Like why is cutting around the bend that which women want to accomplish? They don't want that direct signal. They want to have like
Well, it's not that
the dance
it's
and the
not
play.
that
And like you care about me.
simple.
I'm not just
Well,
like
and
a
a lot of what appearance is about is also hierarchical and communication and hygiene and how do you take care of yourself and what can people expect about you or from you. So it's not that simple. But there is an element of this, and I think that I think people have lost the overall value of connection. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
No, I totally agree with you. I totally absolutely
maybe I've
agree with
gone
you.
too shallow in the deep end.
No, I agree with you. That's how when I talk about sex and like my views are countenanced, or you know, what are we talking about? When you look at the like what that Planned Parenthood video was about, was that you're going to lose your virginity and nobody's going to tell you what virginity means. It could be masturbating, it could be anal sex, it could be this other thing, and it could be very vigorously consented to sex. Like sex was the one that like it has to be consented to, but like if you get butt fucked,
enthusiastically
like, yeah, enthusiastic.
consented.
I'm sorry to be very vulgar, but this is a very vulgar topic.
Yeah,
so
it's
like,
true.
and the vulgarity actually heightens.
And vulgaris from the word for common. So
Comrade?
common.
Oh.
Jeez. You're terrible.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm
No,
so
you're
sorry.
not. You're
well, I am
terrible.
sorry to the people who might be offended by this.
Yeah.
Okay,
geez.
but like, so the Planned Parenthood, they're not going to give you any sort of signal that this means anything other than consent. Like consent is the only value that they're ever going to ask.
Yeah.
anybody to
So
have,
do anything you want,
as long as it's consensual.
as long as it's
this
okay
is,
with
This
everybody.
pure libertinism,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can go up to and including having yourself abused ritually.
Oh yeah.
Just give your consent, and we will ratify your trauma, and then do trauma bonding. We will enter into a consensual toxic relationship. Like the whole thing, it's unmoored from a primary value. It's like God. It's like you can tell people about God, and you can kind of enforce like there's a definition of God, and you can't deny this, but you can wrestle with this, right? But if God is God, there's no God but God, or whatever, like in an older civilization, or like a pre-secular civilization. But ultimately, every individual, if God is God, then God is going to meet every individual where they are, and the relationship between the individual and the God is very private, direct communication with one and one's source. It's very profound, and there are certain religious traditions and spiritual practices that can lead you all these different ways, and some of them can actually facilitate a deepening understanding of your relationship to your Creator. And I think that translates into a changing of who you are, to be more loving, to be more kind, to be more patient, to be less proudful, to be less quick to anger. You know, like there's these virtues of the Spirit that is the outcropping of a relationship to God. Okay? Now, if somebody doesn't believe in that and can go through and say, okay, well, you know, I don't need to believe in God to have virtues, you know, like it's obvious that these virtues thing. Like I'm not evoking that atheistic argumentation, or theist versus atheist argumentation. That's completely besides the point. Either you know God or you don't know God.
Okay.
Period. Sex is the same exact thing. Either you have had, and there's all these different kinds of sex. You know, like there's unenjoyable sex, there's like squishy sex, you know, like there's very mechanical, like slug sex, you know.
Are
Like,
you going to do your version? You should get up and do your version of the Planned Parenthood speech. Where you
I'm doing it
talk
right
about
now.
slug sex.
So there's slug sex, you
What
know.
is slug sex?
I don't know,
Never
like
mind,
you
don't
know,
tell
it's
that.
like it's
No,
hot and
don't-
like
don't
one
wanna-
person's like, and it's just like.
What?
Anyways, I'm just saying, there is a way of like when you're paying attention to what this is going, what this transaction is. It involves all those lower parts of you, like literally.
Yeah.
It is a vulgar thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of can be kind of smelly, kind of sloshy. There's sounds, you know. And if you focus on all that stuff, it's hilarious. How can you like continue to be turned on by that which is like kind of like this is hilarious, you know, unless you get off on that, you know, right? But that is absolutely a part and parcel.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it because it's a biological thing. But there are other aspects to sex that if you don't have the capacity to experience, if you don't have the patience, if you don't constrain sex or contextualize sex within a loving relationship, within a broader framework of sustained exploration and vulnerability, if you send sex, the act of sex, in the direction of knowing each other more and expressing love for each other more and tending to each other more and practicing the act of love, then something starts to open up to you. That is not at all what these Planned Parenthood people are talking
and that
about.
was the thing that probably the thing that bothered me most about the Planned Parenthood presentation and the Teen Vogue presentation. And there was a lot that bothered me about them.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing was like this attitude of, before you do this, talk to your partners about and they're talking to children and they're saying talk to your partners. It's like, it's fine that you're going to just go out and just do this with all the people you know. Just start doing this with all your friends and partners. Do that with them. And it's such a corruption of something
Of what?
Of the potential for really vulnerable and sacred interaction.
Well,
And telling kids, go just run around. There's no reason to tie up morality and ethics into this framework except for consent.
yeah.
That's our only moral boundary that we have, is
Well, and
make
even
sure
that
they said
is
it
like
was okay.
reversible, like because if you can revoke consent post
After
facto,
the fact.
right?
Yeah, I know.
So it's even that is like fungible.
Ugh.
So the thing is, I would prefer a society that if it talks about sex or propaganda that talks about sex in relationship to intimacy, and one point that you brought up about like, you know, go out and do whatever you want and this is meaningless. What happens to those people who do become vulnerable and then the other person doesn't want them? Like there's a lot of heartache. There's a lot of expectation.
Well, that's
There's
because they
circuitry.
caught feelings.
You caught feelings.
Yeah, that's what they call it now. They caught feelings.
It's not oxytocin. It's caught.
You just
feelings.
caught some feelings.
I caught some feelings.
Yeah, it's like
Hey, what's going on over there? Why are you so? I caught some feelings. Well, go walk it off. It's like cancer. You just you sign up. You do a walkathon, and they go away. Just forget about those feelings.
Yeah.
That cheapens and cheapens and cheapens
Yeah.
and cheapens and cheapens them. So yes, it is vulgar that they're talking about anal sex and all this stuff.
All this stuff, yeah.
That's all vulgar stuff. Within the context of like in the fallen state, you can't. Surely you can deny, like this is what I'm saying. You can deny God all you want, and you can probably still have a very deep relationship with God. You just don't use that framework at all. Like you have a deep, persistent connection to reality, to your source, and it opens up over time, and you figure out how that works for you. You don't even know all those language. You can certainly just like have like I don't deny the existence of people like Ayla, who we feature a lot in our conversations. She just doesn't have any morality tied to sex. Like she just goes and she bangs people and it doesn't mean anything to her. I don't think that that's good for her soul, but I don't think that she has the circuitry of bonding or that has been broken so irrevocably.
Well, it's hard to say about an individual without
I don't
having
know.
them present to talk to them about it.
But I'm saying like those people can't exist, and you can go in that direction and just completely unmoor sexuality from what we're talking about. But
I think
within
it's more about the
context-
narrative that they're speaking than their own experience, because it's just so hard to know about a person's unique experience, to second guess what somebody tells you. I don't know.
I brought it up purely to say you can go down that route. I don't think you can. I think it would be really difficult to come back from there and to like reconsecrate, resacramentalize the sexual act. But if you do, I can say from personal experience that I'm not an incel.
Oh, shh. That's enough.
Hold on, I'm
That's enough.
But there's a spiritual aspect to it that takes all that. It doesn't deny any of the biology, but it stands and floats above. And there's a spiritual thing.
And how does that work into the war on tits?
So, titties.
Oh gosh.
You're right. They're over-determined, but they're nice.
Did you say determined?
Determined. There's an over-determination on the
Okay.
the tatas.
Yeah, but they're nice. But they're nice. But they're attached to women, so they're not.
I wouldn't
so
have it
that's
any
the
other
thing.
way, Leslie.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
we
if
should
there's
check in on
wait,
the
hold on.
chat.
If there was a tit van, I wouldn't mind.
What?
Like just a van with this big a van shaped in it as a tit. And it goes around and talks about La Leche League or something like that. You know, but it's just like the tit van, it's coming through. You get little like warm ice cream out of it and like you go, it'd be a great
What is warm ice cream?
What? It's basically just sweet like mother's milk. I don't know.
Okay.
It's grade A. Anyway,
All right.
The war on tits. All right.
There's a couple
There's
of
a couple
super
super chats. And thank you very much for the super chats. Self-made woman. Janice.
She said try a dirty chai. It's probably about our coffee.
Yeah. Dirty chai. And then CB, at what point, say by percentage, does erasing whiteness become genocide in the USA? Was it 20%? Is it 50% at 70%, 80% only in history books?
Erasing whiteness.
Well, genocide is I hesitate to adopt the framing of genocide because that term needs to have a meaning.
Well, is it genocide?
It could be replacement.
Well, yeah. I mean, what is replacement? It just means that your population is shifting. That you got through immigration or
genocide is explicitly about mass murder.
Yeah.
But you can convince through nudges and a race to stop procreating, or that they need to abort more than they procreate. That's a form. I would think
that's interesting. There was another book that somebody put up. I think it was what's that account? Dr. Jebra Fauché. It's a really funny account. I mean, I think it's like a satire account.
Okay.
She posts
Sounds
things
like
and
satire.
She posted this woman reading a book called Let's Learn About Abortion or something about abortion, but for children.
Oh, really?
It was a children's book about abortion.
Yay.
And there was the image of the woman going to the abortion clinic.
Clump of cells out there.
The image of the
Time to
woman
learn
going,
about abortion, boys and girls.
the woman going up to the abortion clinic. That was the first time they featured a black woman in the illustration.
Oh, really?
I thought that was interesting. When they're talking about pregnancy, here's pregnancy, and the pregnancy could be this or it could be that. But if you decide to not continue your pregnancy, and then it's a black lady going to the abortion clinic, I was like, oh, that's really interesting, isn't it? Considering the origins of the whole abortion. It's a
little skit. Like if Saturday Night Live was actually funny, they'd do like, "Mommy, Daddy, where do abortions come from?" Well, Jimmy, when a man loves a woman, but a woman doesn't really trust his financial stability over time, they still rub together and become pregnant. But then she takes care of things into her own hands and has a vacuum chop up the baby and be disposed of. Or put into medications. Sex.
Okay.
The foundation of sex, and then also we didn't even talk about. So there's a personal spiritual thing, and then is a child sacred or not?
This is all from beauty.
Is child sacred or
we're getting
not?
back to is the child sacred? Well, if a person is sacred, then a child is sacred, and if a child is sacred, then a person is sacred, and life is sacred.
And if life is sacred, then what of the act that creates life?
Well.
And then what of the appearance of comeliness? That is not also an expression of life and therefore sacred. Beauty itself is sacred as well. Mm-hmm. So you can live in a desacralized world, and it becomes very ugly because it's running towards meaning and it can't find it. So it pornifies things, or it does the opposite of pornification.
So that's what you're kind of seeing is like this bifurcation, this pornified vision of what it is to be a woman and then a complete rejection of that. So that's how you would
I'm saying those are
describe
both
this.
those are both examples of the loss of meaning. Like those are representative of the meaninglessness of what this is. There's a loss. And I'm not going to go as far as Jordan Peterson when that last swimsuit issue, not this current swimsuit
Oh,
issue,
with
there
the
was an
man
obese. No, not the one with the man, but last year there was an obese woman on there, and he's like,
Oh,
never.
and that was part of what he got in trouble for. wasn't
Never
it?
again will I. No. You can't pay me $1 million to blah, or whatever. Like
yeah.
I'm like
He made fun of her.
there is
like,
beauty in different sizes and shapes. Like I
it's just another fat joke.
I appreciate a little bit of meat on the bones,
Oh,
baby.
Thanks.
I just I don't think waifs and anemia is a sign of. It's not like so I'm saying I'm not looking for the ideal. The idealization is also interesting when you come to art. Like, how does art approach the female form? And is the female form evocative of something other than sexuality? And you see that a lot in art, where the female form, it does hijack, I think, man's natural desire to find female beauty.
Well,
beautiful.
it's the flower of human.
It is
it's
the flower.
It's like the female form, natural female beauty is eye-catching for everybody because there's something that's what humans have evolved from and towards.
Yeah.
That's there's something really beautiful about that, and that's natural, but there is a degree to which it's just been so altered in
Tainted.
terms of what
Fallen.
we are. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's an interesting conversation. I don't really have a nice way
Wait,
to sum it up.
did you
in a
think
bow.
that this was an interesting conversation?
I
Did
did.
you guys think this was an interesting conversation?
I'm glad you weren't so touchy about it. You were really kind of grouchy that I wanted to talk to you about this, but you seemed to get into it.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
We do. I have to tell you, after we watch these the next few days, we read all the comments. We really
I
appreciate
actually saved some of the comments from the last one I wanted to read.
So we'll incorporate more comments.
Yeah.
So this is a dialogue, even though when we're recording, we're kind of just in our own heads. But we do.
I'm curious to
take
see what
feedback.
people think. And
I have to wrap up.
you do?
I have game.
Yeah, you do. And
I have to
just
run
a few.
an Arkham horror game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really complex. But
I like this. There were a couple of comments.
you want to
Can
read?
I read a couple?
Yeah, read a couple. Send us out, Les.
Okay. So
Close out the room.
From the last live stream, Engineer said people base their entire ideas of history based on what happened among the ruling class. Down amongst the plebs, I think it's a bit of a misnomer that women were subservient to men by default. Mary Harrington has it right, I think. So I thought that was an interesting comment and a lot of food for thought there.
I think I tried to bring that up, or
Yeah.
that's a point that I make when I'm arguing in my head against Karadansky.
And then this person, Horse Love 7315, said, yes, the FAA wants to hire people with severe intellectual disability and psychiatric disability. It's on their website. And then sent the text.
Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. They include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism.
So that's interesting. That was an interesting bit of feedback. Then,
Mommy, why did Daddy die in the plane crash? Well, you see, there was this
Severe
President
disability.
Obama. He wanted blind and deaf people to be running the airplanes.
is this in the same book? Is this like the Daddy explains about all the
Daddy
things?
splaining. Dad splaining.
Okay. This person is, let's see, Lola Lays 4530. I agree with Carl's statement, and I'm a female if it matters, but I do wonder why we don't speak about the unrealistic expectations for men. We talk about women's all the time, but surely the ability to provide for and protect not only yourself but your wife and your 3 kids too is unrealistic. How is a man in this day and age supposed to do that? All these things would be far more approachable if we lived in a society where a 2-parent income wasn't, and then I trailed off, required to start a family. Interesting. Another big food for thought.
Yeah.
And then the last
I can
one
be
I'll
more
read.
aggressive, but I don't want it to splash over.
Dean Wilson Coop Ang.
You don't have to read
says,
the whole.
I would never discuss this dumb topics with my wife. So that's the last bit of feedback there.
I appreciate being able to discuss these things with you,
Just
Leslie.
dumb topics.
You're my best friend, and I really appreciate you being in my life. And I also appreciate all the support and attention of all of the people who show up to our show and
me too.
to my channel as well. I have a lot of content in the pipes. It's coming down the pike, but it's up in the pipes.
It's in the queue.
Do you have a joke?
No.
I had a joke, but it doesn't quite work. If you have casual sex with a bipolar, with a borderline person, is it a fringe with benefits?
Oh no.
I'm still refining it.
You hurt me.
I'm still refining it. All right, folks. You guys have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.